Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another Vobes show. It is Friday, the 27th of March, 2020. It's 8 o'clock here in the UK, and we're streaming live. And welcome, one and all, to another hour of hopefully nice, gentle, relaxing entertainment. An escape, possibly, from the terrible times that we seem to be living through. However, the conversation is over to you, and let's see what you want to talk about. And we'll say hello to who is joining us at this very moment. Linda Kane is out there. Hello to you, Linda. Yes, very well. Thank you very much for asking. We also have Paul Smith. Hello, Paul. Hope you're well and doing good things. Ian Beddoes is there. Audrey Forbes Hamilton. Laura Riddle. Lovely to see you. Mickey Stevens. Mikey. I think it is Mikey. I keep getting that wrong. Andrew Murphy is also in the house, which is lovely. Merritt Genealogy. Roy. I lost it there. Ballinger. Andy Stacey, Ed Loud, he's singing the theme tune, which is marvellous. Wendy Lowry, good evening to you. Judith, hello Judith. Where in Sussex? Guess where I am tonight. Oh, where are you? Are you at home? He says, yes, I'm at home. Guess where I went today? Nowhere. Oh, why is it a day off? I thought you're a key worker. I was listening to the Now Show. They did a good joke about key workers. Apparently all of the Timpson's shops have been shut, which is a shame because it seems that key workers are not really key workers when it comes to cutting keys. Nigel Sadler is out there, Anne Osborne, David Keel, hello to you, David. Got your video, by the way, all lined up, ready to go. Graham Whittington says, hello, one and all. Lovely to see you. Thank you for coming by. Ernie, tally-ho. Richard, how are you diddling this Friday? I haven't stopped. I have not stopped. I want to stop. I need to have a day off, really. But your entertainment is paramount, and so I cannot stop. Ron Langley is there. The lovely Julia is there. Now, you may notice that Julia has been made a moderator. So if we have any trouble from anybody, Julia has the high heels on to stamp on you where it hurts. And you don't want to cross the lovely Julia. Claire Leach is out there. Hello, Claire. Miss K Crazy's Adventures. Hi to you. Julia is a spanner. That might get you banned. You be careful, Mr. Pillfold. Laura Riddle is also there. Veg Grow Podcast is up there. Hello, Richard. Pillfold is quickly saying, no, that's not an insult. He doesn't want to be kicked, booted out, stilettoed out. Maybe he does. Maybe he's got a little thing. You never know. It could be a thing. Philip Hammond, he says, Richard, you're only on an Android. Oh, what do you mean I'm only on an Android? I am here. I'm on whatever people can see me on. By the way, this arrived in the post today, Philip, but I haven't had a chance to give it to the lovely Julia for obvious reasons because I've been allowed out of the house. But I'm hoping that somehow I can get that down to her so that she can open it up and maybe make a video and send it to me of her opening it up. It's a gift that Philip and Mary have sent into the studio for, I think, for lovely little Joseph. So that's good. Judith says, hi, Miss Moderator. Hello to you. Nice to see you. Barry Stevens is also there. Jeff Kellison, he says, I may be a key worker. I drove 400 miles today, and I bet you turned a key to get it going. So maybe you are. Well done for driving 400 miles, doing all your delivery. Lisa Fox says, hello, Richard and Vobesters. Thank you for coming along, Lisa Fox. You've changed from Ramiboo. Linda Kane saying, I'm seeing it on a laptop. Oh, marvellous. Linda, you've always wanted me on your lap, and now you've got me. We have a phone call coming in, and it's absolutely lovely. I haven't even put the phone number up on the screen. There is the phone number if you want to ring, but don't ring at this moment because we have somebody who has already called in. Hello, caller.
Hello, Richard.
Hello, who's that?
Nigel.
Hello, Nigel. Yes, of course, I recognise the dulcet tones. Nigel Sadler in Tonbridge Wells.
Oh, not quite.
Oh, you're not in Tonbridge Wells. In
No,
Tonbridge. Sorry.
I'm in Tonbridge.
Yes,
aren't I?
yes, I know. I'm so sorry. There was I doing the O in Ton, and then I added the Wells by mistake.
Never mind.
Never mind.
You could have even prefixed it with Royal, because it is Royal Tunbridge Wells.
Yes, yes,
officially.
I should have got that as well. But I'm talking to royalty now.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Oh, good.
How are you, Your
Kevin,
Majesty?
Kevin has now arrived. There is, as some of us have spotted, you've got two streams working. You've got one that's dated the 26th of March, and it's just sitting with that pre-title sequence screen that's
Right.
green and hasn't started at all.
Right.
And then this one, which obviously actually is working.
Yes, yesterday I think I had a technical thing, and when you start the stream, it does this preview thing, and I cancelled it because I thought there was a technical hitch and I wanted to restart everything. But it leaves it up there, and of course I forgot to have a look in and take it away, so I need to do that.
Yeah, so there's about 6 or 7 people sitting there watching that, wondering, where's it going? Hey, I've got you on my phone, but I haven't got you on my computer.
Yes.
Hence somebody saying that you were on an Android.
Oh, I
but,
see how that
you
makes...
weren't on anybody's computer.
Yes, I apologise for that, anybody who's been looking at the wrong... Actually, that's a better show. That is actually a better show than the current one. But, what can you do? Those green and white stars that don't move, that look like they should be doing stuff. It's a cracker. I watched that last night. I fell asleep instantly. So
Brilliant.
How are you surviving, Nigel Sadler, up there in Tonbridge?
Surviving okay. I went into work today.
What, you went into work? Did you walk or did you drive?
I cycled.
Oh,
largely because you cannot get onto Tonbridge School premises by anything else virtually other than on foot.
Did you have to climb over the fence?
Do that.
Yeah.
You do, actually.
Yeah.
Because we've got a medical centre that's opening in our sports centre on Monday for NHS 111 and local GPs to send people for testing.
Oh.
It's a drive-through thing.
And when do you think you will start testing?
They apparently it opens on Monday.
Blimey! So they've got a whole new batch of. It's all moving very fast, isn't it?
It is. It's still good. So the school's on lockdown just to keep it. Everyone not allowed to be. Who shouldn't be there away.
Yes.
And there's this thing on the gate where people come in and they drive in and they have 4 cars at a time and they'll be doing swabs from inside the car.
Is that where they took the swabs, come in, they open the window and they stick it down your throat?
That's the general idea.
And if they miss, it goes in one ear, comes out the other.
Something like that. But no, I was in with a colleague. We're going around turning the school off effectively because we've got photocopiers and TV screens and amplifiers and computers and stuff just sort of sitting there wearing away because nobody ever turns these things off.
No. So you see, now I should explain to those that don't know, you are the audio visual technician at the school.
Correct.
And you see, I had this thought that somebody like you would be in great demand for the school because the teachers could effectively give lectures in front of a camera and using all your technology and wizardry, send it out to the pupils sitting at home.
We are, and that is happening.
Oh,
but all the teachers have a laptop type device, which obviously has the camera built in and the microphones built in, and by using Microsoft Teams or other various bits of software, are able to do all that. And they're actually, some of them are doing it at school because they don't have facilities at home. But
right.
Most, as I noticed, their equipment had disappeared from their classrooms, so they are doing it from home as they're ideally suited for doing.
Yes.
And so yes, all that is happening really. But that once all that gets to happen, it really just needs the support of the school network,
right,
which is not my particular jurisdiction, just to keep that up. And then the internet, of course, is as good as it is. And I notice it is being throttled in various places. Google don't do its updates and things as often as it was. My Google photographs taken from my phone do not automatically go to my Google account for the last 2 weeks. And so that's clearly unnecessary amounts of data transfer and storage is clearly being controlled by...
Well, as long as Windows 10 doesn't update every other day, like it does normally, that would certainly save a lot of internet space.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And even worse is Adobe Creative Cloud,
Oh, right. I don't.
That updates half the software every 2 days.
Oh, does it? I don't. I
Yeah.
haven't bought into Adobe. The
No,
minute I could get out of that, because I edit on DaVinci Resolve,
yes.
and I do have an old version of Adobe before they went to using the cloud and all of that service
Yes.
nonsense, which it's great because all I'm doing is using it to make thumbnails for my videos.
Yeah.
So I don't need anything clever.
No, that does the job just
So
fine.
how's the family? Are the family surviving, and are the kids as bored as anything?
Pretty much so. Getting them off their screens is like next to impossible. One has to sort of bow down and admire people like Matthew Holsworth, who seems to have his two kids full time in teaching from 6 o'clock in the morning till 3 o'clock in the afternoon. If you follow his Facebook feed, with absolute sheer wonder, really, at how he's done
what you
that.
need then is for Matthew to have a webcam so that your two can take advantage of whatever he's teaching his two.
Well, this would be good. I'll just send mine a lot round to his, and they.
Well, you can't do that. You can't send them round. You can't have any peace and quiet. Otherwise, the rest of the world will be going, hey, just a minute, we want some of that action.
Quite.
But there we are.
But no, it's we're trying to get them engaged. I think we'll next week. I mean, it's only been this week really, but next week we'll have a bit more constructive, because I don't have to go in again for the foreseeable future. So we'll have more homework based things, more home based things like doing the gardening.
Right. Yeah.
So we can make videos for Mr. Suggett and things like that.
Everyone's garden is going to look magnificent at the end of this.
Well, I hope so.
To the nth degree. I should say that Mary at Genealogy says schools are starting their holidays early, and when they are due to return, they'll have virtual lessons. I mean,
that's the idea.
Yeah, some of them are having them now, though, aren't they?
They are, one way and another. Obviously, it's a massive learning curve.
Yeah.
Our school's kind of a bit more geared up towards that, but the state schools are going to be a bit slower to the mark, but they're getting there. The main problem is that the VLEs, the virtual learning environments that every school buys into, one of about 5. A lot of the VLEs, which are individual companies, are really been struggling to cope with the demand. So
yes.
Kids are getting very fed up with trying to log in and do their homework, and it takes 20 minutes just to get to their relevant class or school page. And others have been a lot better than that. I mean, Tonbridge School has suffered from that. But the big suppliers from Microsoft with, say, SharePoint have actually been able to cope with the capacity. So my daughter's school's been good. Both Tonbridge School and Aaron's school have suffered with their VLEs not.
Well, let's hope that a break from all this teaching and knowledge and stuff, and their parents can give them some earthly common sense stuff, worldly common sense stuff mixed in will actually help, that sort of thing. But listen, I'm going to let you go.
Yes.
Thank you so much for calling in and telling me about the other issue with the other channel, which is in competition with me and probably has more viewers. But I appreciate that very much.
Okay, I'll go and watch the last 40 seconds of what we've just said.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. You'll see how interesting it is. All right, take care, Nigel.
Yes, mate.
Take care. Bye-bye. There we are. Nigel Sadler in Tonbridge, not Tunbridge Wells, as I incorrectly said. And I've been trying to, whilst having a conversation with him, trying to scan the comments. Ed Loud says, Mickey Stevens, it's horrid, isn't it? I'm not quite sure what that is. It's like watching What If scenario. Yeah, somebody said they'd been watching a documentary about the Black Death. And I mean, the sort of things that are coming out on the telly does sound a little bit outrageous. I don't have a television, so I don't get time to watch the television, to be fair with you. David Hawkins has found us. He says, everyone's gardens will be immaculate, but hairstyles would be worse than gummage. Well, that's true, but maybe there are some YouTube channels who will teach you how to cut your own hair. I mean, there must be new YouTube channels coming up to teach you how to do things and the poor self-employed traders will never have to work again. They can just use this new government scheme that they've come out, whereas you give them the last 3 years of your earnings, you average it out, whatever it might be, you just hope that they were good 3 years, and they'll pay you like that ad infinitum. Not really Adam, what is it? Adam Infinitum is good enough for me. In tonight's show, we've got quite a bit of nature lined up for you. Quite a bit of nature, which is remarkable. So let's go to some of the videos there. Let me just take that off the screen and nip into the video department. And we've got with Richard McGowan. He's been filming in his garden a little bit of nesting. So a nice quiet moment in the show just to get ourselves back to nature. There we are, a little bit of wildlife there. That stuff, that white stuff that looks like cotton wool or whatever, I thought it was like the inside of a cushion. And then up comes we'd watched this lovely little bird, and then up comes this, I thought was an insult. Dunnock, you Dunnock. But actually that is the name of a bird. Lovely. Thank you so much, Richard McGowan. That's very kind of you. Do send more in. It's great. People are talking about their haircuts out there in the world of the Vobosphere. I think Kevin Hall said he's going to have a ponytail. That will suit you, Kevin. I can imagine that. You could have a pony as well. You could sit there and ride across the countryside with your ponytail flapping like a glorious mane, you know, flapping behind you. Is swishing, I suppose the term is. Swishing in the wind would be lovely. Andrew Murphy says in Fareham at the moment they're not collecting garden waste, and in Hampshire the household waste centres are currently shut down. Yeah, I think the amenity tips in Sussex are shut down. Obviously, because you are going to be getting too close to each other. So people are going to end up having bonfires, no doubt, to get rid of all their garden waste as they clip around. And that will, of course, counteract all the CO2 in the atmosphere that we've just managed to save by not having all the cars and buses and what have you on the roads. Suddenly we'll be bunging it all back, burning all that lovely greenery. So, you know, that's great. Don't worry, I'm doing my bit for the environment. I have the SE going 24/7 and chucking on as much of my rubbish as I can, especially old car tyres. It's amazing how many old car tyres you find knocking about, and I think, oh yeah, see how they go in the old SE. Get them up there, get as much black smoke back into the atmosphere so that none of the global warming figures gets put off onto a kilter, because that would be dreadful, wouldn't it? Dave Ford says, interesting article in Money Week. This is the sort of magazine that he reads of an evening, just sitting up there next to Mrs. Ford and going, oh, I'm just reading Money Week. Yeah, he's suggesting that the Imperial College assumptions of corona might have been too pessimistic. Hope they're right and that it's all over quicker than expected. Let's hope so. That does sound a glimmer of hope for us. How did Boris catch the virus, says J.W. Harville. It's a bit of a sad news story for Boris, but I think, it's going to do him a hell of a lot of good. I don't mean, physically, but I think for the morale, that even if Boris can carry on running the country with a fever and a bad cough and all those sort of things, the coronavirus, then I think that will, we will look back and go, wow, what a leader, what a man. At least that's our hope. I think that's how we hope. Unless, of course, he keels over and pegs out, and then it's like, dope. Then what do we do? We'll have to get Mr. Trump over to help us out. Mike Dixon says, this afternoon I managed to buy 3 tins of chopped tomato. 3 tins, you bloody hoarder. What are you going to do with those 3 tins? You at least take 1 or 2 round to your neighbours. They must be there waiting. Oh, I've been trying to do a spaghetti bolognese for weeks. If only I had a tin of nice tomatoes to start it off with. And there we are. Mike Dixon's got them all. Talking of Mike Dixon, another time of little bit of nature for you. There's a lot of nature in today's show. People obviously are a bit scared of showing themselves, I think, when they go out for their walk. So we've got a little bit of nature. This is Mike Dixon. He has been out there and he's gone to Vale Park. Actually, he sent me a little note to go along with this. He says, hello, lovely Richard. Hello, lovely Mike. He says, took this film today at 6:15 a.m. in Vale Park, Portslade in Brighton, whilst walking Bella, his dog. The park is situated at the end of the road near Portslade Health Centre. We saw 2 beautiful foxes and heard at least 18 species of birds. We made sure we kept at least 2 metres away from other people and then headed home afterwards. Very good boy, I have to say. It's interesting, he says 2 beautiful foxes. I want to know how many ugly foxes that you saw. It's like when you say, oh, I'm going to go in and have a nice cup of tea. Nobody says I'm going to go in and have a nasty cup of tea or a tepid cup of tea. There's always a nice one, which is good to know, really. Right, so Mike Dixon out there. Let's get a bit of atmosphere from Vale Park. This is like slow TV, ladies and gentlemen. Vale Park at 6:15 from Mike Dixon. There we are, lovely Mike Dixon with a beautiful bit of slow TV. And it's quite nice, isn't it, just to have a little bit of atmosphere from different places at different times. I want to say hello to Naomi Earle. Hello, Naomi, who's recently become a Patreon of the Vobes show and the Bald Explorer. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. And as Kevin says, don't forget to click the like button. Give us a thumbs up. Click the like, whatever it is. Really helps the channel along and keeps me going, gets me up in the morning. Those thumbs up, I go, oh, steady, and there I am. I'm up and out at it, which is very nice. And Nigel Sadler noticed there was no aircraft, and yet somebody else told me that aircraft is going up and landing every day. I can't remember who that was. Somebody either sent me an email or it's a message on the YouTube saying that Heathrow, I think it is, that they're still coming and going from Heathrow, and was questioning what it could possibly be. So that's quite interesting. Dean Cooper has arrived. Hello, Dean Cooper. Lovely to see you. How is the deliveries going? Are you still operating? Judith is saying it's very peaceful. You see, the trouble is, you know what's going to happen is nobody is going to actually want this to change. Obviously, we don't want the deaths and all of that sort of side of it. But this lovely peace and quiet and, keeping most people in their houses, as long as it's not you, but everybody, all the horrible people, all the ugly people, keep them all locked up in their houses, and then we can all go parading down the street and enjoy the peace and quiet and sit in the park and, we're not getting interrupted, apart from the occasional police coming round.
Excuse me, can you go back into your house? You're not supposed to be out.
Oh, beg your pardon. Of course, when it's all over, hopefully they will remember that they don't have to do that, and the laws that they've been shoving through government will be retracted. Or is it, what's that word that they came out when, redacted, yes. All these lovely terms they come out with. Can we beat 95 tonight, says Linda Kane. It's a bit of a, probably not. I don't know why we managed to get so many people the other night. That was really good. Ed Loud says certainly some aircraft, medical equipment and supplies. Yes, well, very soon, all these billions of whatever it is that Dyson and all the others are making. But I think, did Dyson actually get to do it in the end? I heard that some other manufacturer came up with this very simplistic advice, and now they've ordered billions and trillions of these things. And Nigel Sadler said, hardly any in and out of Gatwick. I'm under the flight path. Oh, well, that's all right then. Mary at Genealogy says that Heathrow will become RAF Nightingale. Yes, they're doing more of these, which is rather interesting. But I did see a very worrying factor in Spain. I was watching a video just before this from a doctor who has been tracing and doing a lot of the data on this epidemic. And he was sent, and he said, I can't say that this is 100% genuine, but he thinks it is. There is a doctor in Madrid who says that they are removing the respirators from people over 65 and sedating them until they pass away. Now, I don't know how true that is, but that is a shocking state of affairs in Madrid. And the reason this particular doctor on the video that this other doctor said, whose channel I was watching, was they want to obviously preserve, I say obviously, they want to give the younger people a bit more of a chance. Now, I don't know how true that is, but it was just something that came up and is an incredibly and terrible thing if that's really happening. It's just that they're so overwhelmed. And the doctor who presented this was saying this is another reason why it's so important that people do stay in, because there's too many people outside. Really must try and bang that home, and that's obviously a very true state of affairs. You can call in. Don't forget, you can call in to the Vobes, but we're going to go to another video very quickly. And let's go to Kevin, who is a walker, and he's gone out for a short stroll today. And in order to get in his normal exercise, because he likes to do much longer, he's doing something slightly different. Kevin, what are you doing differently?
Morning, Richard. Morning, Ball Explorer Group. Kevin here. Out on another walk. Fourth day of the restrictions. And lovely day. Cold. I should have put gloves on and a hat, because it is quite nippy. Popped into the town this morning. Drove down to get a few supplies. Tesco's, or the small Tesco's in Middlesbrough was very quiet. probably half a dozen people in there at the most. So I managed to get what I needed. But I'm going to do this walk today. I'm walking quite quickly, which is unusual for me, because I want to try and do this walk in about an hour or thereabouts. I've got a route in mind, but whether I'll get that better keep to that or not, I don't know. But I'm going to go off down this way just to avoid some people coming along the other route. But the last year my GP said to me, Kevin, I'd like you to lose some weight because I'm borderline type 2 diabetic. You need to increase your exercise. Well, the exercise I told her I mainly do is walking, and she said that is excellent. She said walking is an underrated form of exercise. So she wanted me to get below 12 stone. This week alone, with the walking I've been doing, although I have stayed out longer than perhaps some people think I should do, I've lost 4.5 pounds in weight. So from my mental health side of things, and obviously helping to control my diabetes or borderline diabetes, which will hold back me going on to medication, and that's one thing I don't want to do. But I'm going to see how I get on. Oh, I'm puffy now already because I'm walking so fast.
There we are. Lovely Kevin getting puffed out there. And lovely to see all the lovely rhododendrons that he was passing. But he's going too very serious there, Kevin, in tonight's show. But obviously you've got to lose all that weight. You're I don't know that you're overweight, are you? With all that walking you did. But you've answered an interesting question. Obviously, you're doing this for your health, and that makes perfect sense. But when you say you go out for these walks where you are bragging, I go out for, hello, Richard, I'll go out for 8 or 9 or 10 or 25 or 4,000 miles. Of course, I've suddenly realised that you're going very slowly for these. You're shuffling along on these walks, whereas there you're going at the sort of normal pace that I would go at, about 3 miles an hour. 3 miles in an hour, so it's about right, isn't it? So prior to that, you must shuffle around on these walks. But of course, shuffling around is good because, like I said in one of my videos, you actually get to see more rather than charging through it and not seeing anything. So it is a compromise, but I think that you're able now to, we were talking about this exercise thing yesterday, and the police, different people have got different opinions of it, but it seems that the police are quite happy if you just disappear permanently. No, if you just disappear in non-farm footpaths so that no farmers get the disease. One farmer put a thing on my YouTube channel saying that he had a farm with 11,000 lambs that are in lambing season, and he couldn't afford to get coronavirus if it was on a gate post or a fence post or something like that. Because what will these lambs do? And everybody needs these lambs. Ed Loud says deaths will continue to rise in the lockdown as people with the households will pass it between each other for some weeks after the lockdown. And also people were sadly already sick. Yeah, there is this sort of delay, isn't there? I mean, we've gone into the lockdown. We're what, day 3, day 4? I can't remember. Day 4, aren't we? And then it probably won't be till the end of next week will we really know the effect of what this lockdown has done. But clearly it will be of benefit. For me, though, the hot spot is the supermarkets. I went into the supermarket. I confess I went out of my house twice. I went into the supermarket this morning at 8 o'clock when there was nobody in there. And then my son Billy and Sharifa asked me if they would go again. They were a bit nervous about going. And I said, okay. So I went with a shopping list for them to save 2 of them going. And the second time I went was around lunchtime. And oh my goodness, you know, you start seeing people in an aisle and you're going, oops, there's somebody there. And it's almost as if they've got this red danger zone around the people that you're going, oh, crikey, I need to get past that person to get to the milk. And in the end, I was finding myself doing these very long circuitous routes around the supermarket to try and avoid passing anybody. It is a bit bonkers. So I think they are the hotspots where people are going to get it. Although there are a number of people in the supermarket that I go to and I recognise their faces and I know them quite well enough to say hello to and that sort of thing. And the amount of people that must have passed by them and they're still there. So they're either immune or they've been very lucky. Because I don't know how anybody in that environment could not get it if it's as virulent as it apparently is. So anybody who works in a supermarket, in a shop, in that sort of environment, I mean, we all clap the NHS workers and the carers and things, and well, quite right too. But I think the other front line that's engaging with the public and doing an amazing service is those workers in the supermarket, often the unforgotten heroes who are stacking the shelves, whereas at this time they are very brave. There was a company on the news that I can't remember who it was now, but they all walked out because they said they didn't feel safe. But then would you go into the supermarket if all the staff were basically dressed in hazmat suits? That would put you off going in, wouldn't it? You would think that you were going into a death trap. Be interested to hear what you say. Philip Hammond says, well done, Kevin. He says, hang on, I've lost the thing. Well done, Kevin. He says, I wish I could be with you. Can't go out. So putting on weight on steroids as well. I've been on steroids. If anyone wants to see what I look like on steroids, by the way, check out a video called, just put Richard Vobes Exeter. And you'll see, I did a report in 2010 from Exeter. I was losing my eye at the time and I was on steroids, and I am huge and pretty much unrecognisable. Horrible things, steroids. J.W. Harville says a doctor in China posted a video saying that the numbers are off by hundreds of thousands, if not millions. He was found, arrested. The video was removed by the CCP. So that doesn't bode well. Kevin Ramble says, thanks. Andy Kendrick says, first time I saw tempers flare today. A guy kicked off on another couple saying they were close to him. In the supermarket when I went at lunchtime, I was in the queue, but we were 2 meters apart from each other. And a woman had been to the till, and it was one of those situations where whatever it was needed to be exchanged or a price found or whatever, or she'd forgotten something. So her husband was at the till. She'd gone down to wherever and picked up whatever it was and was coming back and wanted to get through past people who were 2 meters apart. So, you know, spaced, but 2 meters apart. And she suddenly started to panic because there we were in our respective places. And she's going, I can't get through. I can't get through. Holding up this loaf of bread or whatever. I can't get through. And then she bellowed at me, can you move over? I can't get through to the till. And it's like, well, yeah, no, of course. But you could be a bit polite. She was all panicky and everything. So, yes, I think we're going to see a bit more of that. Got a feel for the grocery workers. Don't forget, you can call in, by the way, to the show. Hang on, I ought to get back into the show. There's the number if you want to call in. We've only had one caller. Let's see if we can get somebody else calling in. Andy Kendrick says, oh yes, he said that. Mike Dixon says these Chinese government fear that they will lose political control of the country, so they imprison anybody who says that coronavirus cases are not reducing. It's very difficult to know what the situation is over there, I think. Dave Ford says, still very tricky getting in the supermarket home deliveries to avoid the crowds. Mrs. Ford has to log on at 2 a.m. Yeah, well, these companies are not really set up for the masses of people who don't want to go in. And obviously, as more and more people become affected but don't know, there is going to be the greater chance that we will get affected. We do have to remember, and I think it's worth mentioning, as far as I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, that for the majority of people, it will only be flu-like symptoms. It's not death coming at you. Let's catch up with who's ringing in the studio at the moment and say hello to our caller. Hello, caller.
Hello, caller.
Hello, Kevin.
Hello, Richard. Let's throw the show into chaos.
Yes, go on.
That's what I do all the time, Richard. I throw things into chaos.
Oh, blimey. Well, that's that. So, anyways, very enjoyable. How did you feel after your sprint of a walk?
Knackered.
Knackered. But you were what? You were averaging 3 miles an hour, weren't you?
3 point something. I can't remember exactly.
Which is an average walk.
It is really. When I go for walks with Steve Musco and Cynthia, and that, the trouble is we
dawdle.
We dawdle along and then we stop a lot. We're taking photographs and we'll stop and have a cup of tea and or a cup of coffee or whatever. So yeah, it's not a route march or anything like that. We just take our time because we're enjoying the landscape and nature and everything around us.
Well, of course, I mean that's what Help the Aged is for, isn't it? That's the thing that they do. Steady.
Linda Kane's out there, so you're going to get it.
No, but it's nice that you're. I imagine that you give Cynthia a bit of a piggyback if she's flagging, or Steve, of course.
You've got to be joking.
Does she give you a piggyback?
No, that's one of the things she'll never offer to do.
Is that right? Oh, what a shame.
Yeah.
She's not going to carry you away then?
No, she won't carry me away.
Oh, that's a shame. So, yeah, but I think the important thing is I mean, if you can spend the time to look and listen and enjoy the nature, that's the whole point, really, being serious about getting into the countryside, isn't it?
It's so important, Richard. You've said it so many times. We're losing so much in our nature and things like that, with churches going and old houses going. We're just losing so much. But to take it in, photograph it, video it, it's so important to try and keep it all.
I think one thing that it might just make people more aware of what they haven't got by forcing them inside. And people thinking, do you know what, I would like to go out for a walk in the woods or on the hills or whatever. And because they can't, they might start to appreciate it. Or if they can only go in there for, 1 day a week or something, it might make people understand that actually this is a very important source for our mental health, our physical health. And we don't want people building on all these green sites. If we have to have the homes, we've got to think of different ways to deal with it.
Exactly. But I've often said that when you're a younger person, you don't take in what's around you. I certainly didn't. Although I grew up with a family that were timber cutters, and we worked with the family worked with the sweet chestnut and that. So I was always out in the woods with my dad on school holidays, and my granddad as well, and my uncle. But I never really took in what was around me. It was only sort of when I perhaps started getting to my 50s. Late 50s, early 60s, that I was really taken in with the beauty that surrounds us.
Yes, and I think that's for everybody, isn't it?
Oh, it is, absolutely. Yeah. And I'm very, very lucky, Richard, where I live. I've got the South Downs right on my doorstep. I've got the Common in Midhurst Common and Stelham and Iving Common. I've got Graffham.
You live in Cowdray House.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You've got the palace. You've got the big palace with the 2 mile drive, and numerous numbers of chauffeurs and butlers and footmen.
I've just sent mine out the back to make me a cup of coffee.
Fantastic. Can he make me one and shuffle round here?
I'll send him down in my limo.
Oh, lovely. Just leave it outside for me. Obviously, don't bring it in.
Yeah. Knock on the door and then retreat 20 yards.
Absolutely. Yeah, there we go. Oh, that's fantastic. So, so tomorrow is a Saturday, and I heard on the news that people might, because there's a lot of people who've been working non-stop, and they might want to take advantage of the fact that it's the weekend for them. I mean, the rest of us have had a extended weekend all the time. although we've not been able to go out. Do you think then that there'll be a lot more people out at the weekend?
Do you know what? Some of the guys that I know that are self-employed, my son included, my gut feeling is that quite a few of them will carry on working because at some point the government could say it's a lockdown.
Yeah.
And once that lockdown comes, then they're not allowed to go to work. And a lot of the guys, my son hasn't, but a lot of guys have got families to look after. So they want to try and get as much money into the bank as they can to tide them over until the government can actually give us this, the self-employed, this lump sum in June. So I think some of them will try and work as much as they can over the coming weekends.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. They want to get as much done and get the money in. Now,
exactly.
How's your love life?
What love life?
Audrey Forbes Hamilton's asking Kevin, "Are you looking for a wife?" I don't know whether that's an offer.
Well, hang on a minute. Where does Audrey live?
I have no idea, but clearly Audrey's keen.
Well, as long as it's within walking distance.
And you can look and have conversations through glass.
Not a problem.
You can't meet. You can't meet.
You could do a lot of things through glass.
Yeah, I'd like to know what. Anyway,
next time we meet up, I'll tell you.
Fantastic. Well, there we are. It looks like you've got a date, so that's all right. This is the coronavirus dating agency. Call the Vobes and we'll set you up with someone.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Lovely to talk to you, Kevin.
And you, Richard.
Look after yourself and keep those energetic walks going.
I'm out on another one tomorrow morning.
Superb. Well done. All the best.
Yeah. Okay. Cheers, Richard.
Cheers.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
There we go. Lovely Kevin. We're going to start calling this the Kevin Hall Show soon. Lovely to hear from him, however. Time for a video. Thanks for all the comments. Keep them coming. I am sort of scan reading them as we go. Mark Donny McLeod. Yes, I wanted to ask you, actually, seeing you there, how are you feeling? Have you survived from whatever it was that you had? He says here, I didn't get the conservation bug till I was in my 30s, seeing where I lived turning into a dump. Nowadays, Bristol is a place to live, apparently. When I left, I suspect. It's funny, we were talking about Bristol this morning. If anyone heard me read J.B. Priestley's English Journey, J.B. Priestley visited Bristol for the very first time in 1933, and he was singing his praises as a very lovely place. Right, we're going to go to the videos now, and one of the videos that we've had in is from Wesley Morgan. Wesley, are you out there? He has given us a bit more nature. This is about a magpie to a song that he's written called "The Eye of Magpie."
The eye of the magpie glistens into the sunshine. My garden is that of our own England, and I must tell you why. Glass eye of the magpie, 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 glass eye of the magpie.
There we go. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Lovely song. Loved that. It was lovely to see a magpie. Do send more in. That's what we're trying to encourage everybody. Also, it gives you something to do. That's the other thing, is if you've got a phone or a camera or a GoPro or whatever it is, It doesn't take too long to knock something together. It doesn't have to be terribly well edited, and you don't need to be able to compose music. You can just tell us what you've been up to, or how bored you are, or how frustrated you are with, or just tell us a joke. I'm not really fussed. We got another call coming in. Let's find out who this is on our mystery line. Hello, caller.
Hello there, Richard.
Hello there, Richard. Who's that?
It's
It's Steve Pillfold. Yes, yes, it is. I was just as you said your name, it just went ping. I know that voice.
How are you?
I'm very well. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Yes, I have a day off today. I've got Cara with me as well.
Hello, Cara.
Hi.
She's been busy avoiding doing schoolwork today.
Excellent. That's what you're supposed to do.
We thought we'd have an inset day.
An inset day, an in-home set day.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do you do on an inset home day?
What did we do? We
cut the thorn seed.
Oh yes, we've been attending to the garden to try and make it a bit more usable.
Now,
a bit earlier in the year than we might otherwise do. So
that's a novelty, Steve. Going out into the garden.
Yes. Well, the problem that I had was the autumn was so wet, as you know.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the last cut of the year in for the grass because you know that I work 12-hour shifts. So if I can't work in the day, that's it. No chance of doing it. And the lawn never dried out enough to cut it, so it was long to start with. So we did that the other day. We cut the lawn, and then we've been cutting back the rose bushes and everything else.
So what are you going
to tidy it up a bit?
What are you going to do with all the offcuts and stuff? Because if the tips are shut, that's what I was saying earlier. But people are going to have bonfires, aren't they? Presumably.
Well, I've got two options really. The one that I'm choosing at the moment, they came round last week, so hopefully they'll come round next week, is the garden waste bin.
Oh, right.
From the council. They haven't told me that they've cancelled it. Or the other option is to try and squeeze it into my compost bin that's already fairly full. But I'll put it in the brown bin, being that it's sort of rose thorns and things like that. If it's necessary, it can just stay in there until they start collecting again, because it's not green like grass.
Yes,
it's going to go smell it, just dry out a bit.
I forgot that people have brown bins for garden waste. Where I am, none of us have been given a brown bin because none of us have got gardens as such. We've got yards, which I think the Americans have a different connotation for that. I mean, it's like a garden, isn't it, to them? But to us, a yard is a bit more of a paved or concreted, shortish area. And so,
yes.
Therefore, we don't grow anything, and so we haven't been blessed with a brown bin.
No, it was free until last year, but now they charge £50 a year for it, which I thought,
do they?
I'm not going to pay that. I'm just going to take stuff to the tip.
Yes.
And then I mowed the lawn the first time, and there was all these grass cuttings, and I thought, I don't want to take that to the tip, so I paid the £50.
So you could you not just chuck it over that wall, that old ancient wall that's near you?
Old ancient wall of the castle?
Yeah, Pevensey Castle, that's fairly near you. You just chuck it over the top there, nobody will know, will they?
Well, you know, there is actually, because there's a field at the bottom of my garden that they used to have cows in when we first moved in, but they don't seem to have them the last couple of years. But it gets very wet and boggy, so it's I can use it for a few months of the year. But I've been known to drop some grass cuttings sort of just over the fence slightly, where it's very overgrown.
Maybe you could do it, and this would be a bit more appropriate, a bit like The Great Escape. Was it The Great Escape? Oh, The White Horse. Was it the what was it, that wartime film with the horse where they jump over the training horse? I can't remember what it's called. Anyway, whatever it is, it's a war, and they to disperse the mud, they shoved them down their trousers and then walked about, and it's all coming out. You could walk across a field with all the grass cuttings
just dropping out.
Yeah, just sort of
So,
discreetly. I wouldn't advise that with the rose bushes, though.
Yeah, no, the rosebush is probably not.
Might snag on something on its way down.
Yes, it could be rather painful.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think tomorrow for our exercise, we're going to do part of the walk that we did when we did the Pevensey walk, which was nearly a year ago now, getting on a bit.
I know.
I think 9 months. So, yeah, we'll take the dog down the lane and then across there. There'd been a bit of the walk that you didn't do, because, of course, Julia was fairly heavily pregnant at that point.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, she was, golly. And that was, as you say, over a year ago. And, of course, we can't do any of the Bald Explorer group walks at the moment.
No, I was a bit disappointed about that. It seems that the group walks on the days that I'm not at work. I was going to go to the Tunbridge one the first time, and it was flooded.
Flooded, yeah.
And then it was going to be Tunbridge this time, and no, we've got foot and mouth this time.
Yeah, foot and mouth. That's it. Well, I'm putting my foot in my mouth, as you know, quite frequently. But that is the day job.
Part of the job, isn't it, when you have to talk non-stop all the time?
Absolutely, absolutely. So you hopefully this will be all done by Bonfire when you get back onto Rocket Radio, is it? Pipe.
Yeah, Rocket FM.
Rocket FM.
Rocket FM is, that's October, so if it's still going on then, we'll all be as bald as you from tearing our hair out.
Yeah.
The start of the bonfires at Uckfield is a bit more iffy, but that's the first weekend in September.
Yeah.
But again, I would hope by then, hopefully, Mr. Holdsworth said to me the other day that he's got his fingers crossed that we might even go back to schools after the end of May half term. When, think about it, they would have been shut for about 10 weeks then. So, that is a possibility, but I'm not sure. It depends how the government view it, and certainly the other side of the pond, Mr. Trump is very keen for everybody to get back as quickly as possible.
Yes, I mean, I assume everybody's keen that we all get back to work. I think that what's interesting with Boris having the coronavirus, not so much that, but he might now have an idea what it's like to be in quarantine and not see anybody, and have a sense what the rest of us are actually feeling. And he may even relax the things because he may say, oh, well, if I need to go out for a walk, then we better let everybody else out for a bit.
Well, this is it. And what worries me is that, yes, you reduce the number dying, and there was a figure of 500,000 quoted if it goes unchecked. Obviously, that's not acceptable. But at some point, it gets to the point where you end up with more people with, you've mentioned it, domestic violence, child abuse,
suicide,
and also people's mental health issues. And, in my day job, where I come face to face with that firsthand on occasions, where people become very desperate. And certainly this week, unofficially, it does seem that we do seem to have had quite a bit of trouble with sort of distressed individuals at times. So it's only going to get worse. People are just suddenly told, you're not being paid for 3 months minimum.
Yes. Yes.
If you've got a mortgage to pay, or if you are at that point where you're expecting the bailiffs tomorrow,
there is the quick way out.
Told you've got no money, then it's very sad for people. So,
yes, that is a very big and worrying thing, and I should think that because of the coverage in the media as well about how many deaths and how this is escalating all around the world and things like that, people, if they suddenly are told or think they've got it and they've got this horrible death that they fear, they might take a quicker way out by leaping in front of one of your trains.
Yeah, well, that's it. But, hopefully it will be, we won't be sort of trapped indoors for too long. I think it will. People just won't be able to comply. People will stop being compliant.
Yes.
If you get to the point, can you imagine like all through June, July, and August, being trapped in your house with children and animals and all the rest of it. It's
Yes.
just people will go mad.
Absolutely. And the experts must know this. They must know that this is a situation, and presumably they will try and relax the rules a little bit. But it'd be interesting to see what Boris says when he gets out of his isolation or whatever happens to him. But Steve,
Yeah.
it's been great talking to you.
Great talking to you too.
And thank you so much for calling in. We're running out of time. I've got one more video to play in before we go, and then we do it all again tomorrow. But thank you, and have a good day tomorrow. And Cara,
Yeah,
don't forget to make your dad a nice cup of tea in the morning.
yeah.
I look forward to that.
There we are.
We'll be in the Burns unit, not the Corona unit, the Burns unit.
There's an optimistic father. Oh,
Yeah.
dear. Take care, Steve.
Okay, cheerio.
Bye-bye. Bye, Cara. Bye-bye. Oh, how lovely is that? There we are. That's Steve Pillfold, who is normally in the signal box doing all the signals. But he's looking after Cara and teaching her how to make him a nice cup of tea for the morning. We got one more video to play. Thank you. I've been sort of scan reading the lovely comments and what have you. It's all very different. David Keel, long-time viewer and thumbs up person who's been very kind and said some nice comments, has sent in a video for me, and that's very nice of you. I was actually in there. So David, he took a walk with his brother around Hangers Way, which is in Queen Elizabeth Park. Now, that's an area that I have yet to do a video in, but it looks absolutely gorgeous. Have a look at this. Some fine old yew trees there at the end of that video, David. Really interesting. I know the lovely Julia would love to go and see those. And it is an area that we do want to go to. Hangers Way in Queen Elizabeth Park, which is sort of on the West Sussex, Hampshire, close to the border, isn't it, if I remember rightly? Close-ish, anyway. And a lovely area, needs to be explored. Thank you very much for that. Philip says all the car parks in Slindon are now closed. Yes, I'm not surprised. It's going to be interesting how the weekend goes, because I think a number of people would just think it's the weekend. We've got to get out if the weather is nice. I gather that the weather is going to get a bit colder, which might put people off. Down here in the south, they might have intermittent rain up north in England. Of course, I don't know about the rest of the world. So that's all good. But we've kind of run out of our first hour. I will be back again tomorrow. This is. I hope this is going down well with everybody, and thank you very much for all your very nice comments. But I will be back again tomorrow at the same time, do another show. If you want to send a video in, please send a video. The instructions on how to do that are in the description. Basically, you send it to my email address via the service of wetransfer.com. It's very easy. Everybody who's done it so far has been grand. I would be very interested in videos, if it's just a piece to camera of what you're doing to survive home enclosure. So it doesn't have to be, don't get confused with the Bald Explorer, which does the heritage, landscape and nature. This is very much, a human chatting show. So, if you can just sort of tell us a little vlog, about a minute and a half, little vlog of the things that you've done to keep yourself occupied, or any hints and tips for people who are at the end of the first week getting a bit bored and need something to think about, or a challenge for them to do, which would be great. So that's really nice. Claire Leach says, it helps me, Richard. I don't know whether you're talking to me or Mr. Suggett. Paul Smith says, look forward to the next one. Nigel Sandler says, all the car parks ought to close. If you can't walk there, you shouldn't be there, he says. Actually, it was interesting. The police didn't overly have... when I heard at the lunchtime news, the police chief constable or whatever didn't overly have a great thing against car journeys, but not, don't go in the car for an hour. He was more worried that people in the car are likely to possibly have an accident, which would mean that the emergency services are utilised. Of course, you're going to petrol pumps and handling the pumps that other people may have handled. You may park and use ticket machines, which other people have handled. And of course, there's the close proximity of getting in and out the car with other people and all of that. But I think if you basically have common sense and stay away from anybody else, you should be pretty much all right. But you never quite know where anybody else is going to be. That's the problem. But anyway, thank you so much. You make the show. I just hold it together, but you make the show with your wonderful comment and your comments in the chat room and, of course, your lovely phone calls. Thanks to everybody who rang in. It's been my pleasure to present it. Have a good night, the rest of the night, whatever you're up to. Stay safe. Try and stay indoors as much as you can. Try not to argue with the other half, or indeed the children, or indeed yourself. I find myself having a good old row with my mirror of me. And it actually does me the world of good. Sometimes I need to be put in my place. But anyway, that's it for today. Thank you so much. We will say arrivederci. Take care. See you again tomorrow, 8 o'clock GMT from me. Goodbye. Oh, that was good, wasn't it? So it's GMT. Did a lovely go away. Did a lovely outro there. Press the wrong button. Till next time. Bye-bye.